Hello, dear friends. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic for all of us: how to feel the signs of God's presence. We know that the presence of God is something real and tangible in our lives, but we don't always perceive it. So, here are some tips that can help you feel God's presence. Sign 1 in the Bible: pray and read the Bible daily. Prayer and reading the Bible are essential to staying connected with God and to learning more about His will. When we are closer to God, it is easier to feel His presence in our lives. Imagine that you have a very important friend who lives in another city and you can only talk to him on the phone. You know that he is a very wise person and can help you in many situations in life, but for that, you need to be in constant contact with him. The same thing happens with God. He is our most important and wise friend, but we cannot talk to Him directly as we do with our earthly friends. However, we can communicate with Him through prayer. Prayer is an intimate and sincere conversation with God, where we can express our feelings, thank Him for the blessings received, and ask for His help in our needs. Just as it is important to talk to our special friend frequently, it is essential to pray daily to stay connected with God. In this way, we can be closer to Him and perceive His presence in our lives. It is as if constant communication with God is a channel that allows us to receive His guidance and inspiration to live better. Reading the Bible, in turn, is like a manual that God gave us to know more about His will and His guidance. It is a book that contains stories, teachings, and guidelines that help us better understand who God is and how He acts in our lives. When we read the Bible, we deepen our relationship with God and thus become more sensitive to perceive His presence in our lives. Therefore, praying and reading the Bible daily are important habits that help us to be closer to God and to feel His presence in our lives. Second sign: signs you thought were random. Pay attention to God's signs. God can communicate with us in various ways, whether through a thought that arises in our minds, a word we hear, a feeling we experience, or an event we witness. Be attentive to the signs that God puts in your way and try to understand them. Just as when we are driving and need to pay attention to traffic signs to avoid accidents and follow the correct path, we also need to be attentive to God's signs in our lives. Sometimes, these signs can be subtle and require us to be attentive and aware to perceive them. It is as if God is guiding us through a divine GPS, indicating the direction to follow and helping us make the right decisions on our journey. Think of a child playing in a park and their mother is watching from afar. If the mother realizes that the child is heading towards something dangerous, she can draw the child's attention and help them avoid danger. Similarly, God can draw our attention when we are heading towards something harmful or wrong and show us the right path to follow. When we are in tune with God, it is like listening to a radio station clearly. We can clearly hear the message He wants to convey, and we can understand and follow His will for our lives. But for that, we need to be attentive and willing to listen. Like a musician tuning their instrument to get the best possible sound, we need to tune our hearts and minds to hear God's voice in our lives. Third sign: life of love and charity. Have a life of love and service. When we love God and our neighbor, we are following one of Jesus' main commandments. And when we serve others, we are serving God. Having a life of love and service is a way to be in tune with God and, thus, feel His presence in our lives. Having a life of love and service means putting into practice the love that God teaches us. This can be demonstrated in many ways, from helping someone in need to being kind and understanding with those around us. For example, if you notice that a friend is going through a difficult time, you can offer help, support, and prayer. Or, if you see someone needing help carrying their groceries, you can offer your assistance. Small acts of kindness and generosity are a way of loving our neighbor and serving God. Another example is volunteering at a charity organization or dedicating your free time to helping a social cause. This is a practical way of demonstrating love and serving others, which are principles taught by Jesus Christ. In summary, having a life of love and service is a way of living in communion with God and feeling His presence in our lives, as well as making a difference in the world around us. Fourth sign, nature. Nature is another sign of God's presence. When we observe the beauty of God's creation, we can feel His presence in our lives. Nature reminds us of God's power and greatness, as well as showing us the care He has for us. In fact, nature is one of the most tangible ways to feel God's presence in our lives. When we observe the beauty of a sunrise or sunset, the immensity of the sea, the majesty of the mountains, the delicacy of flowers, the perfection of the stars, we can perceive how great and powerful God is. Every detail of nature shows us the care and divine wisdom in everything that was created. Moreover, nature can bring peace and tranquility to our lives, helping us to connect with God and feel His presence. For example, a moment of contemplation of a beautiful sunset can remind us of God's presence in our lives and bring us peace and comfort in the face of difficulties. Fifth sign, miracles. Finally, miracles are another sign of God's presence in our lives. God still performs miracles today, and often they are the answer to our prayers. Be aware of the miracles happening around you and remember to thank God for them. When we talk about miracles, we cannot help but feel emotion and gratitude for the power and love of God in our lives. Miracles are like proof of the existence of God, a manifestation of His divine presence and power in our world. Imagine yourself as a sailor in a stormy sea, sailing in a small boat, and suddenly the storm disappears, the sun shines, and the sea becomes calm and serene. That would be a miracle, and it would be impossible to explain such a drastic change without believing in the presence of a divine power that intervenes in our lives. Just like the biblical story of Moses crossing the Red Sea, miracles happen when we need divine help in times of difficulty. It is important to be aware of the signs of miracles in our lives, even if they seem small or everyday. A sudden cure, an unexpected solution to a problem, an encounter with someone who changed our lives, all of these can be a miracle and a sign of God's presence in our lives. Remember to always thank God for these moments, as it increases our faith and helps us maintain a stronger connection with the divine. God never abandons us and is always willing to help us through miracles and other signs of His presence in our lives. We can conclude that there are countless ways to feel God's presence in our lives, whether through prayer and Bible reading, observing nature, living a life of love and service, or experiencing miracles. It is important to be aware of these signs and understand them so that we can connect more and more with God and feel His presence in our lives. When we are close to God, we feel peace, love, and hope, and this helps us face the challenges of life with more confidence and serenity. May we always seek to be in tune with God and feel His presence in every moment of our lives. If you enjoyed the video and would like to receive more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. That way, you will receive notifications whenever we post new videos about faith, spirituality, and other topics related to God's presence in our lives. Be part of our community and join us on this journey of faith and discovery.